School District Board of Education meeting. If you're looking for something else, now's the time to leave. ¿Hay alguien aquí que necesite intérprete para esta junta? ¿Sí? ¿Ya lo tiene? Okay, good. We've got something here. And we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, Gilroy High. Dr. Marco Sanchez, principal. And some guests.
Good evening, board members, Board President Pisano, Superintendent Flores, and our fabulous board rep, student board rep, Sloan Pace. I want to introduce the Gilroy High School wrestling team. They had an epic season and 2 amazing weekends, starting with the Central Coast Section Championship. They won their 16th straight championship and set records with the number of individual champions. Of the 14 weight classes, they won 10 of them and qualified 12 wrestlers to the California State Championship this past weekend in Bakersfield. At the state championship, they scored a CCS record, 180 points, had 2 champions, Nick Aguilar, who's headed to Rutgers University. Raise your hand, please. We had Tony Andrade win the state title at 195s, and he's headed to Oklahoma State. Raise your hand, please. Alex Felix headed to The Ohio State University, finished 2nd. Raise your hand.
Good job.
We had 7 medalists, the most we've ever had in school history, and finished 2nd in the state meet. So we're very proud. Coach Corona is also joining us. Coach Greg Varela could not be here, but it was a great tournament. So thank you for your support, board members and Superintendent Flores.
Congratulations.
Nick Aguilar.
Please stand.
Congratulations to the Gilroy High wrestling team. That is very impressive.
Good job. Congratulations. Really proud of you. Good job. Good job.
Great job.
Congratulations. Great job. Good job. I need a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Move approval. Second.
Can I make a request? Sorry, I didn't go move
Oh,
fast
I'm
enough.
sorry.
I would like to request that we move 6D, the charter school renewal, up on the action information agenda to first. So it would be 6A, because we have a number of people here from the charter school and most of the rest of staff reports. So that's it.
I'll amend my motion.
Thank you. We have a sec- Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, I'm sorry, I moved that too
Okay.
fast. And we have one person for general public comment, Rosa Garcia. Here, come on up. And I don't know if they told you get, oh, she wants it to 6D, but we do it now, right?
No, sorry.
I'm
Are you
sorry.
requesting to speak about a specific item, the charter school petition?
Yes.
Then we
Okay.
need to hear you when we get to 6A.
Oh.
So, I'm doing a great job so far. Thank you.
Blame your VP.
Yep. Okay. Let's see how much I can mess this one up. All right, so we have 3D, report of action taken in closed session, and we took action on 3 items in closed session. The first was Resolution 171831, non-reelection of 5 certificated employees. That was a 6-0 vote with Board Member Doyle absent. And the second action that we took was Resolution 1718-32, notice of release of 18 temporary teachers. And that was a 6-0 vote with Board Member Doyle absent. And we have one to take here, which is a stipulated suspended expulsion agreement, case 2018-14. Do I have a motion?
Move to
So moved.
accept.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And then lastly,
Right.
Is-
I get to make an announcement and about as an action the board took in closed session. So in closed session, the board approved the appointment of Melanie Corona as our new public information officer. I'd like to tell the public a little bit about Melanie so you know what her background and experience has been. She has a master's in English Lit from Sonoma State. For the last 6 years, she's been the executive director of the Downtown Business Association. And prior to that, she was a marketing manager and an associate at Piper Jaffray. She's also very involved in Luigi, where she's been on the parent club for quite a while and is currently the president and publicity co-chair. She's been on our Citizens Oversight Committee since 2019. Boy, that'd be a long time. 2015. She participated in Leadership Gilroy in 2012, and she's now on their board. And she's on the board of Mount Madonna YMCA. And she and her husband have a foundation they created called Make Your Mark Foundation. So we were very impressed with her in the interview process, and we're really looking forward to Melanie. In fact, if she could start tomorrow, that would be better than April 2nd, I believe, is her first day, because we always have so many things going on in the district and need, obviously, a public information officer. So we're really excited, Melanie, about you joining our team. And I think you wanted to say a couple words, so you have to go up to the mic.
and Dr. Flores, did you mention it was unanimous with
Thank you.
Trustee Doyle
Thank you.
absent?
Yes, thank you.
Just in case.
Superintendent Flores, President Pisano, esteemed board members, members of the cabinet, and the Gilroy community, thank you to Gilroy Unified School District for the opportunity to serve our staff, our students, and our community as your public information officer. I have been engaged in public service my entire life. My grandparents were teachers, my parents were teachers, I'm married to a teacher. My children attend Gilroy Unified Schools, and I'm honored to be a part of something that makes our community so great. I look forward to serving you to the best of my abilities and to represent the Gilroy community. Thank you for your faith in me.
Thank you. And Melanie's husband, 3 kids, and father are here, so thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
Welcome. You're going to be busy.
Looking forward to working with you.
Great job. And you can leave. You don't need to stay here.
You don't have to stay all night. In the future, you will.
I was just going to say, take advantage of this evening
Right.
and some family time.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank
Nice
you.
to see all of you.
Bye. Okay, report to the board. We have student board rep report from Sloan Pace, Gilroy High.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Flores, members of the board. My name is Sloan Pace, and I am the student board representative from Gilroy High School. Tonight, I will be presenting on Elliott Elementary School and Gilroy High School. So I'd like to start off with Elliott. I had the pleasure this week of traveling to the campus and meeting with some staff members, and immediately I could tell how much they cared about the students, and this impression only grew as I learned more about what's going on. Some of the huge things they have going on is an emphasis on school climate. They've really been trying to improve it and make all the kids feel really welcome and want to learn. Some of the ways they do this, they have PBIS, which they incorporate in everything they do. They also use character counts and do monthly assemblies. They also have a student store, and the student store has a different theme for a different pillar of character counts, and students get lion tickets, and they get those from doing well in the classroom or helping someone out on the playground, and then they can use those to buy different things at the store. There's a picture of some of the kids, and the smiles on their faces are absolutely priceless. In addition, this year, Elliott has gotten some school spirit gear, so I see some of it out in the crowd tonight. So they have nice sweatshirts that staff members, parents, students all wear to work with that school climate. Another event they have is called chocolate with the principal, which is exactly how it sounds. There's chocolate, donuts, the whole thing for students who have been excelling. Last Friday was Dr. Seuss's birthday, so all throughout Gilroy, a lot of people were, or a lot of schools were celebrating by reading Dr. Seuss books, and Elliott was no exception to this. There were a lot of community members who came and read to the students in the classrooms. I know Dr. Flores was at Elliott, and this is not the only time that reading is emphasized at Elliott. They are starting a Millionaires Club. So this is for students who have read over 1 million words, and those students received a book of their choice. And once again, the kids loved the books, loved reading, all of it. They are also starting something where students get to pick the books that are in their teachers' libraries. Instead of the teachers picking, the students actually get to decide what they would want to read, which is a really great way to get them to continue to read. I want to highlight a couple of upcoming events. At the end of this month, March 21st, they'll be having a bingo night if anyone would like to join them. And in May, they will be celebrating Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. And the 4th graders will be traveling to the Mission, and the 5th graders will be going to UC Santa Cruz. At Gilroy High School, we spent the past couple weeks getting ready for our Winterfest Spirit Week. We had a social media theme, so the days we had were Snapchat Monday, which is when we encouraged students to dress like tourists, and as if they were going somewhere that they would share on Snapchat. We also had Tag Me Tuesday, so students got with a group of friends and dressed up in different group outfits. There were some dwarves on campus, or here some people have their actual Instagram usernames. On Wednesday, we had a Vine and Meme Day, and this was one of the most popular Spirit Days we've had in quite a long time. A lot of students were very into that. And on Thursday, we had a Throwback Thursday, and students dressed from different decades. On Friday, as always, is Blue and White Day, which we connected to Facebook for this. And on Friday, we had our Winterfest rally. So we had some games. You can see some people standing on a beam trying to knock each other off with pool noodles. That was a very intense game that people enjoyed. So we think that was a really successful Spirit Week. So we just had our wrestling team lead the Pledge of Allegiance. They had an outstanding season. I also want to mention female senior Adriana Roscoe placed second at CCS, and this was her second, or no, she placed at CCS, and this is her second title. And we had our boys soccer team and girls basketball team both made it to postseason, and now we are in spring sports season. Last month, we had our incoming freshmen come and pick out their classes. We call that Mustang Mania. So as one class is getting ready to come in, our seniors are getting ready to leave. We've been having senior talks, talking about graduation, Magic Mountain, and our Hollywood-themed prom we have coming up. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have our superintendent's report.
Thank you, and I always get to follow an exceptional student presentation. That's tough. But anyway, I've already mentioned about our PIO. This past month, on a sad note, we renewed our focus on school safety. As you know, there was another school shooting where 17 students and staff passed away in Florida, and we are all grieving over that loss. So we feel it very strongly. And immediately after the shooting, I started talking with our police department about convening another meeting, which we've done before with our principals and cabinet. So Cheryl Galloway and I met with representatives of police and fire. We planned a meeting, and then last week we met with all of our principals and cabinet. We reviewed all the steps we've already taken to keep our students and staff safe in our schools, and we talked about many other ideas that we believe will enhance our school security. A letter's going out to parents and to employees tomorrow, if it hasn't gone out already, updating our school community about what we're doing in the safety arena. We feel our schools are very safe, but we're going to continue. It is a continuous process of every time one of these shootings occurs is looking at what we're doing and how we can do it better. On March 2nd, as already was mentioned, we had Read Across America, so all of our elementary schools participated. This year I went to Elliott. I think now I've been to almost every elementary school in one of these events. It was a lot of fun. I got to say, Elliott really knows how to do Read Across America. They were so organized and had so many things in place. But I love reading to students, so it was fun. I got to read in a kindergarten class this year, which is a little different, reading to kindergartners. But it was fun, and lots of participation. You just have the most wonderful school partners, Patricia, at Elliott. It's just incredible. Target, Costco, I can't name them all off, but it's just amazing how many of them showed up. There's a new one, the Apple Store? Disney.
Disney Store.
I knew it was Disney. Every year I get this wonderful opportunity, starting now till for the next month or so to interview our outstanding seniors for various processes. So this past Tuesday, myself and several other Rotarians interviewed 7 of our high school students. These are not seniors, actually, for a leadership camp that Rotary sponsors every year. And and it's interesting, the other people on the panel sent me emails after just raving about our kids. And I love that. I feel the same way when I'm reading scholarship applications for seniors. And I read about the most amazing students on earth in the Gilroy Unified School District. So it's a really fun time of the year because for the next month, I get to interview incredible students and then make tough decisions about who gets selected to go to a leadership camp. Like the other day, we decided all 7 had to go, that we're going to figure it out. We're going to make sure they all go because they're just so amazing. But what's coming up are, hundreds of kids applying for our scholarships, and then we have to make tough decisions about who will receive them. As I've mentioned before, we are in negotiations with all 3 of our bargaining units. So we have another session coming up with the GTA on Monday, and I believe CSEA is about a month away. Paras are about a month away, and you already met with CSEA. Thank you. So we're negotiating with all 3 bargaining units. As you know, I started spring site visits, and some of you accompanied me. Jaime and Linda accompanied me on 3 school visits that were done in the past week, Elliott, Antonio Del Bono, and El Roble. And while we were at ADB, I'd been hearing about this program for a long time, but I'd never been to the kickoff event of the Apex Fun Run, and it was just wonderful. We didn't want to leave. We were ramped afterwards. I felt like I needed to go out for a run because these guys that run, and it's all guys that run the program, they look like they're probably college athletes, just had the kids so fired up about this Apex Fun Run program where for 2 weeks the kids have lessons and then they run and they raise money for the school. So it was really very energizing. In fact, the kids were really energized afterwards, and it was great to see it. At El Roble, I took some pictures of a couple lessons that were occurring in SEAL because they were just, the kids were so excited, the teachers were excited, and this lesson up on the left, was the unit, the theme right now for this grade level is about our Native Americans. And it was great to see the artifacts, which you have on the right, posted on the walls, and then to see them doing this activity, which was basically grounding up corn into meal, like our Native Americans did on a daily basis, I'm sure, for them to experience what it's like not to just go out and buy cornmeal. You have to grind it up and make it into a meal. So it was a great opportunity to see that lesson, and the SEAL coach was doing some demonstration lessons while we were there. And it was great to be able to see her actually do one of the demonstration lessons. There are many upcoming events. Do I have any more pictures that I need to talk about? Okay, so upcoming events, there's a lot actually from now to the end of the year. Tomorrow I'll be going to GECA because a group called the California Coalition of Early and Middle School Colleges, they meet annually, but this will be the first time that we're hosting it. So I'm actually going to go out to GECA to just meet. There aren't that many early college academies in the state. I think there's about 22. And they'll all be convening at GECA tomorrow in their multi-purpose room. Saturday, I hope lots of students are going to show up for the Run for Fitness. We're hoping about 1,500 to 2,000 students will show up on Saturday for Run for Fitness. Our kids have been training for about 8 to 10 weeks, running walking laps at their schools, and we're hoping for really good participation. And we are doing it whether it rains or shines. It's supposed to rain Saturday, but we have backup plans for helping the kids warm up if it is raining in the gym and keeping parents and kids warm in case it is raining. There's about a 70% chance right now. I keep hoping that'll move to Saturday night and that we can just have our event on Saturday before it rains. And next Wednesday, most of us attend this every year. We have our future chefs. This year it's called Asian Fusion, and it's a competition for our students who basically create a recipe and make it and compete, and some of us are judges, and we get to experience some great food. In the past, we've just been so impressed with the recipes that our students come up with, so this is next Wednesday. And then next Saturday, we have two big events going on, the Don Christopher Garlic Classic Track Invitational at Christopher High School, and our ELAC Parent University, which will be at Gilroy High at 9 a.m., and a lot of us attend that also. So those are some of our upcoming events. You know what I should mention, we also have board members, our two reclassification ceremonies this month. So it's not next Monday, it's the following 2 Mondays. I think we've already sent you information about it, but those are our annual reclassification ceremonies. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, item 5, is our consent agenda. I need a motion.
Move to approve.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, consent agenda accepted. Now we will go to item 6, the new item 6A, first reading for Navigator Schools Gilroy Prep School Charter Renewal Petition 2018 to 2023. And do we do this first? Or at the
It's up to the will of the board. We do have one public comment, so it's up to the board.
It might be helpful to have the public comment first. So Rosa Garcia, we'll try this again. Thank you for your patience.
Okay, I didn't know I was going to do all this, but I'm here to just say, speak to the charter school experience of my kids. They've attended both public and charter, and it's just been wonderful for my 13-year-old and my 6-year-old. My 13-year-old was in need of an IEP. It was a real struggle with the regular Gilroy Unified School District. We did get it, but it was no easy task. And for my 6-year-old, I just brought up the concerns. They do not need an IEP to get all the supportive services that she requires. And that's just been a wonderful thing with the charter school, that parental voice that I've had. There was also behavior concerns with our middle school kids. I brought it up and said, you know what, we need to do something. We need to teach these kids community. I mentioned El Joven Noble, and this year my son has been participating with it, and I know that we're having gang issues in the community, but I believe that Gilroy Prep has taken that preventative step by having El Joven Noble on site, so that's no longer a concern. So I just wanted to come and let them, let the community know what a great charter we have here, and their collaborative piece. They don't just learn, but they share this information. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. And I just want to make sure that we all understand when you say public school as opposed to Gilroy Prep Charter School, that our charter school is a public school. And that's why we're here. So, thank you. Thank you.
So Kevin, I'll let you take the lead, and then if you want to introduce people that are participating or just here.
My name is Kevin Sved. I'm the CEO of Navigator Schools. We run Gilroy Prep School, our flagship founding school, and now we also run Hollister Prep School. It's really an honor for me to be here with you tonight. We're very thankful for the opportunity to seek your support for extending our school's charter for another 5 years. With our partnership together and the collaboration, we've provided hundreds of families another public school option in Gilroy. And we know that together it's just provided not only a different opportunity, but new experiences for learning and growth for all the professionals that are involved as well. So we really feel grateful for the experience that we have working with the business. I'm looking over here at Alvaro. We have such great partnerships with the superintendent, and we've had many of our board members out to see our program in action. So we're really thankful for all the attention that we get from Gilroy Unified. So we have a team here that will spotlight other members of the Navigator Gilroy Prep team. And we also have a little video, if I can operate this right, that shows you, just gives you a glimpse in the day of a life of a Navigator student. You'll notice most of the clips are from our Gilroy Prep site, but you might see some Hollister students in here as well. But they're all Navigators.
At Navigator School, we strive to improve our communities through education. Our students will be prepared to excel in classes on standardized tests in college and in every aspect of their lives. All students deserve the opportunity to receive an excellent education. Our school's high academic standards and instructional rigor instill a love of challenges and a determination to succeed. Our classrooms create a passion for learning, inspiration, and understanding that lasts a lifetime.
We get new opportunities to work with someone as in further in life, like in high school, you're gonna have to work in teams or pairs, or during college when you're doing something or studying, you have to work pairs, and it gives us the opportunity to experience working with people and not listening to a teacher speak all day.
Thank you for letting us share that short video. I'm now going to have our Director of Community Outreach, Kirsten Carr, share a few words.
And you just, what did you hit to get to the next one? Oh, enter? There we go.
Hi, thank you. As a long-standing member of the Gilroy community, a former Gilroy Unified School District teacher, and a member of the Navigator team, I really just wanted to thank you. Your support has enabled us to work with all of you and to really work on our mission, in which we are incredibly committed to, which is truly closing the achievement gap. We were so very honored to be included along with Rod Kelly in Innovate Public Schools Achievement Report the last couple years that focused on how we as a community, as a school district, and as a school, and with our partners, Rod Kelly, are working to close that achievement gap. And we could not have done that without your support. So it really, tonight, we are here just to say thank you and to say we look forward to being able to do this more with you. This is really small, so I'm sure all of you have seen the actual report, but I can get it for you. Right now, I'm going to introduce you to one of our 8th grade students who told me tonight she becomes one of your GECA students next year. Cool. So, Marisol Cruz.
Good evening, everybody. Hello, my name is Marisol Cruz Velasco. I am from Gilroy Prep School. My time here has been a huge learning opportunity and experience. I think of it as a privilege to attend this school. With all the advanced technology they provide, we are able to look for our own answers. It gives us an advantage to have this accessibility on hand, resulting in less reliance of the teacher and an increase in our independence. Teachers encourage students to seek their own answers. However, they still assist and explain on what is misunderstood or unanswered. Since the beginning, they have helped me improve on my writing, reading, and math skills. They have done an excellent job on teaching the abilities because we have acquired them for everyday use as well as for the future. Being here since second grade, I can see the impact and growth in all my peers and I. Our abilities have expanded and our minds have grown dramatically. For the past few years, we have adapted many learning transitions to find new ways to facilitate learning, making it superior. The transitions in middle school have helped me prepare myself mentally for high school. For instance, they have helped and encouraged us to be collaborative teammates. However, we still have the ability to work independently. They have implemented other various ways of learning and helped us tremendously for the future. I feel prepared for high school, college, and beyond. Thank you all very much, and are there any questions you want to ask me? Okay, thank you.
We're going to show one other short video. Good evening, everyone. And then we'll have Crystal up next.
James, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. I'm out of order. My name's James Denna. I'm the principal at the school.
Good evening, Dr. Flores, esteemed board, Gilroy community. My name is Crystal Toriumi. Next year, I will be the principal of Gilroy Prep School. This year, I'm the vice principal of academics, and before that, I was a teacher at Gilroy Prep School, and before that, I was a teacher in Gilroy Unified School District. I believe a common value for all educators here in the Gilroy community is the wonderful professional development we get to receive. I know I got wonderful opportunities in Gilroy Unified at El Roble and Las Animas. And I want to speak a little bit about some PD opportunities and coaching that we have at Gilroy Prep School. One opportunity is new staff members all participate in 2 weeks of professional development. We call it NABI 101 and 201. And this is a time where we really get to set the stage and highlight our mission and vision and ensure that all of the classroom management strategies and academic strategies are well reviewed and practiced before teachers have their first day of school. The brand new teachers get a week of intensive. The returning staff members get 1 week of PD where we go over new development plans and really revisit our culture and reset what's needed with our students. We have 5 days of PD throughout the year where we participate in planning and different staff development needs. We all staff members, including myself, receive weekly formal coaching where we meet with our site coach and go over our PD goals and talk about action steps that we work on based off of observations. And fun fact, 91% of all Navigator employees would recommend working at Navigator to a good friend. And this survey is given 2 times a year. Thank you.
Don't actually. All right, now my official introduction. I'm James Dent, the current principal and chief academic officer for Navigator, former principal of Elliott School. And I think Dr. Flores and I were approaching 11 years, right?
Yes.
Since we both walked in about this time of year, 11 years ago. I want to just say how grateful and thankful I am for the support that this board has provided us over the years, and the partnership that we have with, in particular, Rod Kelly and any other school out there that wants to work with us. It's been wonderful, and Dr. Flores, I know how important and instrumental you've been in permitting that great work to happen over the years. We're proud of our students' achievement, which we actually think is just a byproduct of an excellent education, the ability to perform well on the very rigorous tests that the state has now. You'll see that our growth has been consistently on the upward trend and really outperforming state averages significantly. I think what we're most proud of is that our free and reduced students actually outperform the state averages for students that are not on free and reduced lunch. Our Hispanic students outperform the white averages of the state, and our English language learners also outperform English-only student averages for the state. So we feel that we're doing a great service for the students of Gilroy. So just to highlight what the reason when Sharon Waller and I got together and wanted to launch this school, we really wanted to have an impact on a broader scene than just Gilroy Prep students. And a partnership that had begun a little bit before with Rod Kelly has really bared fruit over the years with the work of Luis Carrillo and his amazing group of teachers, as well as Maritza now. You can see that their state doesn't really do decile rankings anymore, but there are some other ways to get decile rankings, and you'll see last year Rod Kelly almost hit the 90th percentile, and if they get the same growth one more year, they'll actually hit the 90th percentile, which is just fantastic and the whole reason that we're doing this work. What is the work we do at Navigator? We are an innovative group of people that never quite are satisfied with the level of performance of our students. And I just want to have a very short video to just kind of highlight that. You'll see two classrooms. First one you see is from 2017. You'll see the ratios are a little different, and the adjustments we made in 2018. So just to highlight that, our middle school model has, I think, raised some eyebrows around the state and even with some out of the state people that have come to see it, where we really are basing our model on students learning to be leaders and actually learning some of our instructional strategies and truly engaging with each other 90% of the day. When that, you saw in the video that said, and the teachers behind the teachers are behind the students, and the students are interacting with each other, almost like you could imagine at a Google or a Facebook when the teams are collaboratively working together. We've trained our students on leadership training and teaching strategies that we use. So it's quite different than you would see in other middle schools with very high engagement. We have lost connection. There we go. Finally, for my part, I just want to, again, reiterate my support, my appreciation for the support that you have shown. As you can see from the slide of our data in the charter, our students consistently outperform students across the state of California, and we are not yet satisfied. So coming next will be continuing to work on mathematics to get all of our students up to proficiency levels equal to our ELA. And we have worked to continue the work with our counterparts in Hollister Prep to create a middle school model which incorporates the strengths of our current K-5 model with the needs for student agency and independence required and desired by middle school students. So we are now ready to send you almost 60 freshmen next year, one of which and several others that will be going to GECA. So we're very proud of our first graduating class this year. And with no further ado, Mr. Sved to finish up.
We at Navigator Schools at Gilroy Prep, we're definitely mission-driven. We want to prepare students for success in life, in college and beyond. And we're really grateful for partnering with you on that. So as James said, we don't stop. We just keep working on, where's an area that we need to solidify. So one area next year that I'll just highlight is our social emotional learning. It's another area where we see opportunities for growth that will better prepare our students to be successful in school and outside of school as well. And so if you have any questions tonight, we're happy to answer any, or we know that there's opportunities between now and the next meeting. We're happy to answer them that way as well. So thanks again for all your support over the years. We couldn't be doing this work without the board support, without the superintendent support, without support of really of the whole Gilroy Unified School District. So once again, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Board members, any questions?
Could I just mention for the public's benefit, because this is kind of behind the scenes work, the charter school petition was presented to us, about 6 weeks ago, I think, 7 weeks ago. And Cabinet, the people sitting in the back of the room, and I reviewed the entire document, which you can see as a pretty large document. So we reviewed the entire document and came up with a list of questions, and we forwarded that to Kevin, and he worked with his team to answer those questions. The questions were answered to our satisfaction, which is why we are supporting the renewal of the petition. We believe, well, first of all, it's a great school that's getting great results. I just saw your new middle school model along with our APS team, and we are very impressed with what's happening at the 8th grade. And I'd love to see us doing more of that in our schools, which are much bigger and, probably more challenging to do it. But it's very exciting what you're doing with the middle school model. But anyway, we are able to see, I am certainly in my 3 visits a year, everything they're talking about in the petition coming to life. And that's really great. They welcome our visits. We work together with the charter school just like we do with our own schools. When we do an APS visit, we debrief at the end. We give them feedback just like we do our other schools. So we are closely monitoring them as we're required to do. So some things are done annually. We look, for instance, at HR records. We review their budget. We work with them on their facilities, applications, and we do have a very collaborative relationship. And from my viewpoint, the charter school provides another alternative for parents through the public school means to excel and achieve, and I think it's a benefit to our community. So I'm proud to support this charter school renewal. I think they're doing a great job. And I appreciate the partnership with Rod Kelly, and I think that partnership, mainly between James and Luis, really has benefited our traditional elementary school, if there's such a thing. I just wanted to make sure the public knew that there's been a pretty rigorous review process, because we're required by law to make sure the charter school petition meets all the ed code requirements, and we feel they've met those requirements.
Yes, Pat?
Well, I think you should add that we also saw the different questions from all the different departments that were asked of the charter schools. So I feel like we've been kept in the loop to that extent.
Good point. Thank you for making that. Yeah, we shared our questions with the board when we sent them to you, and we shared your responses with the board.
Right.
Anybody else? Mr. Rosser?
Thank you for your presentation, and I must say I've had the opportunity earlier this year to get over to visit on a visit, one of the APS visits, and it's amazing to see what's going on in the classroom. And I think that to characterize Navigator means innovation, I think is very clear to see that. And I mean, all the strategies that are being deployed I mean, we see many elements of it in our schools, but I mean, clearly you are the innovators and taking it to the nth degree that what you're able to do is amazing. And the student engagement is just clear, you know, and you can see the, you know, the consistency from classroom to classroom, and you can see the support. I mean, you've got tremendous support in the classrooms, and it's neat to see the students interacting. It's amazing. So I, for one, you know, a lot of times I remember when we first talked about going to see innovative programs in the schools, and I know Tom Bunrose was a big advocate for that, and I know we made a trip to, a field trip to Southern California to, what was the name of the school? 6th Street Prep in Victorville? In Victorville. And, you know, one of the top performing schools in the state. And we kind of, that was one of the things that we said we would like to see what we could do to bring it to our schools. And I think it's amazing how far we've come. And I would like to, I know our schools are doing much to innovate too. We're very proud of many of the initiatives. The SEAL program, we take great pride in the initiatives and the success that we're having with our SEAL program. Of course, we got a big district, and it's hard, you know, to turn, you know, a big ship. It doesn't turn on a dime, but we're making a lot of initiatives and a lot of progress, and I'm very proud. I would like to see us have more partnerships, quite frankly. I mean, I know there was some discussion about a greater partnership between the GPS and the public schools so that we can take advantage of some of the you know, innovative successes that you clearly have made. And I mean, we see that in our classrooms, and we'd like to see more of it. And we, you know, and so I'd like to see more in the way of partnerships. And I know you had mentioned that there are some foundations in the Silicon Valley that are very interested also in pursuing that goal, and I would like to see us pursue that. And so thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you. Anybody else? I have a couple of questions. First of all, I would like to second everything that everybody has said, and closing the achievement gap is near and dear to my heart. It's what I have worked for all of my career in education. With that, one of the, and I just have questions out of curiosity, so relax. One of the things you mentioned a couple of times in your report was a need to get back to your targeted demographics. And I see that your free and reduced lunch has dropped by 27% from the initial 68% to now 49.4%. And I see the list of kinds of things that you're doing, and I'm just wondering, do you have a handle on why that's happening, or? And if you don't tonight, that's fine. I didn't give it to you ahead of time.
I'm going to have our Director of Community Outreach, Kirsten Carr, speak to that.
We have actually gone and doubled our efforts to reach that target population and have seen the numbers incrementally go back up just because we have been able to double the amount of intent to enroll forms from the target population. But again, as it is the lottery, it does kind of make it a little bit of a chance activity, which is why in our renewal, as you will see, one of the things we did add was a preference for students who qualify for free and reduced lunch to make sure that that is something that, in addition to our outreach efforts, that the GPS office staff has completely stepped up to the Head Starts, the First Fives, to St. Joseph's, to a lot of the community organizations, to actually a lot of the housing developments that have been going in, the apartments, that will actually help us to reach our target demographic.
And along with that, I was looking at your job descriptions, and for your APs and teachers, your assistant principal, sorry, and teachers and your resource specialist, bilingual Spanish is considered a plus. But for your principal, your small group instructors, your paras, and your non-instructional, who probably are those people that parents see first, no mention of being bilingual. So I don't know if that's an issue, but it kind of stood out to me.
And that's actually a good point.
And it's something that we look at all the time, and it's very difficult. I get that. Sure. You know.
Our office staff is fully bilingual, so that's really the front face to the community, and
exactly. That's what
our
I'm talking
office
about.
manager and our office assistants are fully bilingual.
Yeah, and it'd be great if you'd put that in the job description too.
Thank you for looking so closely. We will do that.
Well, you know, I'm an old HR girl, so. And actually, that's kind of the only questions I had. Thank you. Anybody else?
So it's on tonight, just for first reading questions. If you have questions, additional questions, please send those to me by like Wednesday or Thursday of next week, because we'd have to respond before we post next Friday, because it'll be on March 22nd for action.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody, for coming.
Thanks for coming.
Good showing.
And we'll give you a minute or two, because we don't expect that you want to sit for the rest of it. And it's almost 8 o'clock. It's almost 8 o'clock.
We're holding you.
Yeah.
So James, are 60 kids coming to Gilroy Unified, or 60? I thought 60 were moving on to high school, and I thought it was 40-something were coming to GUSD. Can you just send that to us? Because I'm just curious. Because when I was there, you mentioned, because you have 60 kids leaving, right? Right. Okay, thanks.
Do you know what the percentages of their school that is GUSD?
That's a good question. Can you also send us the percentage? It's mostly GUSD kids at your school, right? Yeah. Send us that.
That'd be
Yeah.
helpful.
Thanks.
Great. That was another one of my questions.
Right. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so for those of us who are left, we'll have our original 6A, resolution numbers 17, 18, 27, issuance of 2018-19 tax and revenue anticipation note. Alvaro Mesa.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, Board. Good evening, Superintendent, and happy International Women's Day, I guess. This is why I'm looking spiffy with a red tie. So the item on the agenda is to allow us, the district, to participate in a large investment pool to issue what's called a temporary borrowing instrument to smooth out the fluctuations in the taxes. As you know, we get our lump sum property taxes primarily in December and in April. And in the past, we haven't really truly needed a TRAN, quite frankly, as you've seen in the cash flows. But, you know, California economy is at full employment. The markets have been volatile, and you never know. And for the cost of $22,000, it's a really good insurance policy to have. All the resolution does today is allow us to jump into the pool to borrow at those really low rates. It doesn't mean that we are going to issue it. It just means that you're giving us the authority to work with Dell Scott and Company, formerly with Piper Jaffray. Is still Mark Farrell behind the scenes doing all the work. It's still the same guy that we've always been working with. But all it does is allow us to keep working with him, refining the cash flow projections for next year. And if we think that it's a good idea to issue it, then you'll know. So all this does is allow us to continue to be eligible to be in the pool. And we would anticipate that the actual borrowing amount would be similar to this year, about 6.7 million or so. It might be a little lower, but we don't know that until we actually get cranking on the cash flows for next year. Any questions?
Seeing no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Move approval? Second.
Okay, this is a roll call vote. Yay, I did something right.
Heather Bass.
Yes.
B.C. Doyle, absent. Mark Good.
Yes.
Pat Midgard.
Yes.
James Pace.
Yes.
Linda Pacino.
Yes.
Jaime Rosso.
Yes.
Thank you. And item 6B, second interim financial report for 2017-18.
Thank you, Madam President. Kimberly will start the presentation.
Thank you.
Good evening, Superintendent Dr. Flores, President Pacino, and board members. So tonight, we're going to go ahead and we're going to present the 17-18 second interim. And the first slide here is just telling you what this presentation is going to involve, and it's the background on the certifications. We're going to talk a little bit about the variance between first interim, our last budget report, and second interim, multi-year projections, and then at the end, we'll recommend board action on this second interim report. So the different types of certification are right there. Positive certification means that we will be able to meet its financial obligation currently this year and 2 years out. And the qualified means we may not be able to meet those needs. And then the negative means we will not be able to meet the financial obligations. And right now, currently, Gilroy Unified School District second interim is self-certified as positive. And this slide here is referring to the 17-18 total general fund revenues. So this is both unrestricted and restricted. And the first part there, the state aid and Prop 30 and property taxes is our main components of the LCFF funding, which is the local control funding formula. And then we also get federal revenue, we get some state revenue, we also get some local revenue, which is our donations and particular grants that have been written or accumulated here at the district office, or the district, school district. And then the LCFF phase-in funding components, this is the different levels of the actual LCFF, what makes up our LCFF. We have our base grant, we have some supplemental funding, we have concentration funding, and that's because we're over the 55% requirements for the ELs and so forth. And then we also have a couple different other revenues that are added into that particular phase. And this slide here is your 17-18 total general fund expenditures, again, both unrestricted and restricted, totaling over $136,887,672. And the breakdown is right there. Your certificated salaries is 39%. You've got your classified salaries, employee benefits, and your books and supplies, services, contracts, so forth, your capital outlay, a lot of your equipment over a certain amount of money, $5,000 or so, and then our other outgo and indirect cost. And if you were to look at just the unrestricted side of this, salaries and so forth, salaries, both certificated and classified, along with the statutory benefits, would be around 85%. That's excluding our one-time funds, which kinds of, it lowers that percentage if you include that. And this slide here is the variance between our last report, which was first interim, and our current report, second interim. And so we have a little bit more of the state revenue, and then our expenditures went up a little bit. Some of that was utilities and a couple other items that needed to be budgeted for. Our contribution went up around $200,000, and that was mainly special ed contracts that needed to be budgeted for. And we still have, at the end, our ending fund balance at second interim is a little over $13,449,000. It's a little bit less, but that's due to the expenditures and the contribution being a little bit more than our increased revenue. And then Alvaro and Mr. Mesa here will go over the multi-year projections.
Thank you, Kimberly. So I have a couple of slides that should look familiar to you. This is just the total unrestricted revenues as they've gone up since the implementation of the local control funding formula. This is the total, and the projections are for the subsequent 18-19 year and 19-20 when we fully anticipate LCFF to be fully funded. The next slide is just showing the delta, the increases, right? So to the left of that vertical line, if you will, you'll see the green dotted numbers. Those are the actuals. So obviously we've got 3.7 million in the very first year of LCFF. That was a huge relief because that was coming after massive cuts that we had taken the prior several years. And then that followed two really good years of up to $10.7 million of new revenue in that 1 year. And on the way up there, you'll recall us saying, look, we're heading towards a peak. It's coming down. The new revenues are going to start to taper off. And that's exactly what is happening. And it's, you look to the right of that vertical graph, you know, it's essentially like half of all that peak. So if you think of a mountain, you already kind of climb up the mountain and you're on your way down, and then you know the other ones are not as steep, if you will. So the new revenues are essentially going to be limited to the cost of living adjustment once the LCFF is fully funded. Which brings us to the elephant in the room. The pensions really are going up, and it's not that the pension plans are exotic, it's just the basic retirement plans that we have. And the cost of these, there's a combination of factors that are very important. PERS just took action to change the amortization from 30 to 20 years. So that means that PERS, in general, you know, think of your home loan for 30 years, now you get it to 20, now you get to pay up faster, right? Well, in terms of PERS and the pensions, they are able to now realize savings faster and also realize losses faster and book those faster. So the contribution to the employer and perhaps eventually to the employee as well will create volatility, faster volatility. So everything just moves up. And so that's really the variable that we have to see. The rates here are the ones that are in the common message, the county calls it. They are the ones that they want us to use. And so you have probably seen higher rates on the MYP than these because we go by school services, which are on the CalPERS side. The CalSTRS rates are all the same. There's no changes between what the county common message is and what we do. What we do on the CalSTRS rates are a bit higher, particularly in the 19-20 year and the 2021 year, because school services has already come out with a projection in terms of what this means, the change between the 30 and the 20. So we are a little more conservative than the rates that are there. I believe in 1920, we're using over 21% in that year. And we do that precisely because we don't want to start looking at a multi-year projection and all of a sudden having to adjust what is truly a $1.4 million expense annually in year. So I just want to give you the actual rates. Those are the stated rates for the purposes of the common message, the things that the county expects us to do. Those are minimum rates that we're supposed to use. We can always use higher rates. We go by School Services of California because every time they telegraph an increase, sure enough, they're eventually happen. So for 2021 year, that 2021 year is not on there, so let me go to 18-19. We have in our multi-year projection 18.1, whereas the chart says 17.7. 19-20, we already went up to 20.8, so just a hair higher than that. And for 20 and 21, we have 23.8 versus 22.7. I go through that excruciating detail to make sure that once you hear that the rates have gone up on PERS, you already know it's accounted for in our true MYP. So that's really important to note.
On that slide, excuse me, could you tell me what the small p stands for?
This, projected.
Okay.
Yes. I put those on there specifically because I know those rates aren't real anymore. Because everybody knows the amortization schedule just went from 30 to 20, which is a big deal, and those are going to significantly impact the employer contribution rates. So there's no point in us saying, okay, we think that that's not going to happen anytime soon. The multi-year projection is supposed to be a forecast of what you think is going to happen. And so those are P's for projections. Thank you for that clarification. So the highlight of the revenue assumptions, again, we looked at the revenue and we take it down to 80% at given this point. The May revision may comfortably say, given the economic variables that are, California hit an all-time high on both employment and unemployment at 4.4% of unemployment, I believe, which is a record for California, where full employment rates are low but on the way up. So we seem to think that the GDP, gross domestic product of the nation, will hit just shy of 3% this year, and that's also based on the UCLA's forecast. But we think that the next 2 years, that 3% GDP growth is going to be going down to 2.5 and then 1.6 or 1.5. That's what the UCLA forecast says. All that means is the interest rates are going to rise because now with the federal actions on both taxes that negatively impact California and on the trade, which negatively impacts California, we think that those key things aren't good for California economy. And so we want to make sure that we're always modest on the revenues and also the declining enrollment that we just experienced for the first time. So we have plenty of reasons to be conservative is what I'm trying to say. And that also goes to the yellow line on the middle, right here, where we go from 59% unduplicated count. Okay, get my laser pointer. So we go 59% unduplicated count, which drives the targeted population and our supplemental and concentration, and that's 57% for the subsequent years. That's $400,000 every single year, and that's consistent with the prior multi-year projections that you've seen from me. Highlight of expenditure assumptions. The key variable here that I think we should have mentioned in the variance between first and second interim is that the county costs of special ed have increased. Now, we do get those AB 602, they call it the SELPA allocations, roughly 6 times a year, and they do change quite a bit. Right before the second interim was due to be submitted, we had like a $400,000 gap. A negative adjustment on the revenues of $200,000, followed by an increase of expenses, county costs of $200,000 for a combined impact to the budget of $400,000. In between us gathering information and receiving yet another revision from the SELPA, we found out that what we did just included a $200,000, so we went halfway down, was actually right on the money because the SELPA cost with the revision was better off by, I think, $279,000 or so. So we hit it right on the nail, but I mean, those are the kind of variables and fluctuations that we have to kind of analyze as we're going through these interim reports. So the general contribution to those programs, special ed in particular, did increase $200,000 between first interim and second interim. And because of that, the multi-year projection basically takes a little bit of conservative approach and increases the contribution by 1.5% each subsequent years, whereas before we flatlined that. But I don't think there's been a year that we've flatlined contributions all around. So I thought that it was a little bit better to inflate it by 1.5% just to be safe, because we haven't seen that total number not change annually. So that was another important adjustment that bears a call out. Everything else essentially remains the same. So you see the fund balance, actually the unrestricted reserve, when you do take into account what used to be the set aside for the new elementary school, which we don't need anymore, now it's just labeled as one-time expenditures because it's not like budgeted on the expenses and therefore ongoing. This is just part of the fund balance that you get to use once. Because the board had taken the action before to set it aside for the new elementary startup, we simply changed the label and said one-time expenditures and kept that same value to be consistent. So the actual reserve number is correct on this slide, not on the other one, because that accounts for that, and that's 8.98%, followed by the subsequent year with conservative revenue projections, but everything we know about PERS at this point, STIRS has pretty much leveled off. They haven't really surprised us with a change, because again, it takes legislative action to change STIRS. PERS does not. PERS will meet again in May, middle of May, and we suspect that that's when the rate increase will happen. Well, I've already had those increases here that I think will happen. So really, we're looking at unrestricted reserves of 8.98% in the base year, followed by 11.25% and 10% the following year. This does not include, of course, any negotiations with any bargaining units or results of a tentative agreement of any kind. And so the next steps are obviously for Santa Clara, the county, to review our second interim, and we self-certify as positive, but the county does have to go through a process of reviewing our financials, cash flows, et cetera, and either concur or go through a process, but we fully expect that they will concur with our self-positive certification. The MYP will change. Pending outcome from negotiations, I already know that I'll be working, and I have submitted the AB 1200 for a bargaining unit that we hope to come back to you with information on March 22nd. And then the May revision will come. And based on the economy, performance in the economy, we fully expected that the LCFF, funding model will be fully funded for next year, which could mean good news for us, but we have to be realistic about the subsequent years, because it takes a 1.7% increase in COLA just to make me whole for those pension costs. So, and then we had a year of zero, and most of the time, they aren't ranging over 2%. The projected COLA for next year is 2.51, so it is a little higher than usual, but if it would have been this year, it would have just been barely enough to cover for my pension cost on an annual basis. And of course, the multi-year projection will be revised as needed. So with that, we recommend board action to approve the second interim report with a positive certification.
Are there any questions? Comments?
I guess the one thing that we all have concern about is when it talks about our, what is it, 59%? No, we're dropping down to 57%, and you have, what is it for the?
Unduplicated count?
The students.
Yes, the targeted group. Yes.
For funding, where we're depending on, what is it, 12 million?
Yes, correct. Between supplemental and concentration, exactly right, Trustee Russell, 12 million.
So, and we're trending down. Are we anticipating that we in fact can foreseeable future dip to below the 55?
No, not right now. Even the forecast, I think this is the second year I've consistently done it. So 2 years ago, I started that 57% target, and it's always come back up to 59% in the base year. It's just the subsequent years. I like to be conservative in the subsequent years. If I know the information now, there's no point of me cutting it down from 59 to 57, chopping off $400,000 of potential revenue. We don't have absolutely any reason to do that. It's just really the subsequent years, because the variable, we saw it this year, something can surprise us, like 166 students not showing up in the elementary grade level span. Surprise us. So something like that, it's just the more little variables that you've telegraphed and we publicly say, these are the things that we're conservative on. It can fluctuate and provide us a soft cushion when things like this happen.
So, but if we should drop again to below the 55 again, what the basic impact would be?
So we have never dropped below 55%. The drop was in enrollment. But the unduplicated count right now is still around 58, 59, very close to 58, 59%.
So it's not.
It's a planning tool. Yeah, it's a planning tool.
Thank you.
Mrs. Midgard?
I hear you, but in the text that we read, it's in bold letters. The district's current 59% of unduplicated count drives the supplemental and concentration factors under the LCFF, which are projected to generate approximately 12 million, et cetera.
Yes.
So you sound very reasonable and confident, and yet, ooh.
Well, I want to call it out because 12 million is a big number.
Yeah.
And we should recognize what drives that number. And that number is driven by this 59%.
So you're just reminding us?
I'm reminding everyone that if that number should ever go down to 55%, like any district in California, that big change there would be a big problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments? I'll entertain a motion.
Move approval.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And now we have 6C, Agreement between Gilroy Unified School District and iSchool Initiative.
A couple people asked me earlier, what's iSchool Initiative? I didn't use that term last time when I talked to you about this, so I'll just explain. I mentioned to you about the superintendent's conference and that I heard Travis Allen, who is basically the CEO of iSchool Initiative, talk about how districts use technology and the need for districts to come to consensus about their vision and goals for technology. And I mentioned that I had contacted Travis, and we actually have had 2 conference calls. I couldn't participate in the second one because I wasn't here, but we've now had 2 conference calls with Travis and his partner, and we firmed up what we want to do. Is my mic on? Okay. Did you hear it? I don't want to repeat that. Anyway, so what we're doing initially is having Travis Allen come to the district and do this pretty much the same keynote he did for the superintendents, and for about 100 people. That will include all of you if you can attend on June 14th, and some, obviously, staff, all principals, some parents, students. And then they will spend the rest of the day, a couple of his people will spend the rest of the day with a group of about 30 people that I've yet to identify. I was hoping it would be bigger than that, but he's really firm about this needs to be a group size that they can work with on developing our vision and goals. So then they'll spend the rest of the day with that group of 30, which would be representative of the groups I've already mentioned, to work on our vision and work on our goals and come up with a plan for how we're going to use technology in our schools. There's great variation in how technology is used now. And long before he talked about technology in some classrooms is just a replacement for worksheets and workbooks. And in other classrooms, and GPS, quite frankly, is doing a great job in this area of using technology for higher order, critical thinking skills, collaboration. That's what we'll be talking about that day. And by the end of the day, we'll have a product. And this is different than just having a consultant come and talk to us for a day. This is, he'll start out the day talking to us, but the rest of the day is going to be a lot of work. And hopefully we'll have a really exciting end product. This isn't I know it's called iSchool Initiative, but this isn't another initiative that we're going to overlay on staff in the classrooms. This is about defining how we want to use technology to help our kids move into the real world of work, and the Googles, the Apples, all the, Silicon Valley kinds of job opportunities, and getting our kids ready using technology to be successful in that environment. I think it's going to be a really exciting day. I'm looking forward to it. I hope his speech is as interesting to you as it was. You rarely see superintendents stand up and give standing ovations, and they did stand up, because it wasn't so much how he delivered the message, it was what he said. It really caused us to reflect on our practices in our school districts. I've talked to a couple people that have already used him, and a superintendent said to me, who's not been around quite as long as I have been around a while, said it was by far the best day he's ever participated in his career, because by the end of the day, they knew where they were headed with technology, and I think it's well worth the cost. By the way, he's given us a discount. Travis and his company are based in Georgia, and they came out and spoke to California superintendents, and now they're actually thinking of having one of their employees come out here because there's so much interest. And fortunately, I jumped on the bandwagon quickly, so we're actually able to get the date. I didn't think we would be able to get June 14th, but we did. So Alvaro's been working on the contract with them, and you might want to say a word or two about that.
Yes, thank you, Superintendent. So we did get our contract template used. Thank you, Trustee Rosso. Because initially they had their template, and I had reviewed it with legal counsel and incorporated the changes that she wanted. And then we also because of Trustee Rosso's feedback to us. Trustee Good, I'm sorry. Trustee Good, my apologies. Trustee Good's feedback about using our template, I did let them know, look, we put a lot of work into the template. Let's incorporate the agreement in there. And they didn't change a thing. They went for it. And they still, of course, as Dr. Flores said, they're offering the day training at a reduced price. And we do think that the outcome isn't just a day training. It's a vision and a long-range planning tool that comes, I think, at a very critical point where we're spending $12.5 million in infrastructure, and then perhaps using one-time funds to then layer devices on top of that. So I think it's coming at a really, really good timing for us to get our vision, a long-range plan in place right now.
Comments? Trustee Good?
I think this is something we've sorely needed for a long time. We've been really rampant and excited and spent millions and millions of dollars on technology without a real plan on how it's going to be implemented. The concern I've always had has been, okay, I have a PC, how long does it last? 2 or 3 years, and then you have to replace it. Well, we couldn't afford to do that. So I think it's time, it's beyond time that we look at how we're using technology. So this is very timely, and I support it.
Great, thank you. And you'll hear Travis say, he's device agnostic. I think that's the word he used. So the device isn't, he's not gonna come in and tell us, buy a bunch of Chromebooks or buy a bunch of iPads. That's not what this day is about. It's how you use whatever the devices are, including BYOB. Is it BYOB? Bring your own D. Not beer. BYOD. Because he knows that in some districts, they can't afford one-on-one devices. And in a lot of those districts, they're saying, okay, bring your own device, but let's all agree on how we're going to use them in the classroom and make sure it's getting our kids ready for where they're going to be working, you know, when they leave us.
I have to say, I was kind of surprised to see them located in, is it Alpharetta, Georgia?
That's where he lived. That's where he, I guess, grew up and went to college at a private college in Georgia. But I'll let you tell his story because I don't want to ruin the fun. But he'll tell you how he became interested in this topic as a high school junior, I believe, and started his company before I think he even walked into college, or right around the time he walked into college, because he became so fired up about this issue of how we're using technologies in the classroom.
Anybody else? Trustee McGurk.
I just wanted to comment that I think Tom Boondros in heaven must be smiling right now, because Tom, although, I mean, he was just so skilled in this area, he was very conservative about making this big plunge into technology because he was very concerned about how it was being used in classrooms. So
in May of 2007, I listened to a 2-hour discussion among board members about that very issue.
I know.
Tom was leading the charge on not purchasing as much technology as we had for Elliott. I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
Oh.
So who just said this? This is great. It's
good. Said
it's about time we have this. That's great.
Thanks.
Anybody else?
So you mentioned the 14th of...
It's June 14th.
June 14th.
Yep.
So is that, what is it, a half day?
No, it's all day. We'll start, the first 2 hours will be a keynote address, and, probably 100 people will be there over in our other building. And then the rest of the day will be 30 people working with 2 of his staff developing our plan. And not all,
rest of the day is
not
a board
all of
meeting.
you,
And then we have a
and
board
we have a
meeting
board
that
meeting.
evening.
And not all of you can be on that 30-person committee, by the way. That's why I suggested the board president, vice president first consider if they want to participate. And if they don't, then obviously other board members could step up. I want all the principals there, and I don't even think we can make that happen with 30 because we want, he insists that students be involved in this, and we totally agree with that approach. So we're going to invite students to the keynote and 1 or 2, maybe 3 students to be on the committee.
The keynote will be at 8 o'clock.
Did you talk about time?
I thought it was 9.
No, not specifically.
Yeah, I don't
But
think we-
as soon as we get a
Yeah.
itinerary, I'll send it out so you can share.
Be able to attend the keynote. And then
Yes, yes.
Trustee Good?
What age group students is he looking for?
He said he's involved high school and middle school, but we're going to focus on high school. We're going to have high school kids participate.
It might not be a bad idea to have one middle school student from the prep school.
Oh, that's a great idea. Wow. Hadn't even thought about GPS.
Just because
Yeah,
the way
what
they
they're
use
doing in the
technology
eighth
differently.
grade is, we were really impressed.
That's a good idea.
There's a lot of student-led, I don't know how to describe it, learning. It just was very impressive, using technology. They're using a lot of technology. But yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe one of them coming to GECA. Well, we have 40-plus of them coming to our high schools. So, yeah, great, good idea.
Questions or comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Move approval?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank
Motion
you.
carries. Okay, now we have facilities. Last but not least.
And it's not even that late.
No, look at this.
Don't
8:30.
jinx us.
Yeah, well, I shouldn't have said that.
I can fix
That doesn't
that.
mean you can tell stories, James.
And everybody remind me, A through E, roll call votes. So,
Yes. Well, good evening, Dr. Flores, President Pacino, and esteemed board members. So I have several items tonight, as usual. We're starting to get ready for the summer, so obviously we're cleaning up what we did over the winter and getting ready for the summer. So the first item, item A, is Resolution 17-1825, change order number 1 for Premier Builders. That was for the Christopher High School Lab and Art Room project. It is a credit. And it's the total amount was $20,000, I think, so it's a credit back from that. B, Resolution 17-18-26, notice of completion for the same project. C, Resolution 17-18-28, authorization to solicit bids. I think that everybody should be just elated with this one, as this one's been quite a bit of time in coming, and we're getting it out there. So this is authorization to solicit bids for the Prop 39 funded HVAC for 6 district facilities.
Wait, are you saying Prop 39 is actually happening?
Prop 39 is happening. We are going out to bid. We will be completing that work this summer, yes. It's just been a little bit of planning time. We also have E, Resolution 17-18, or 17/18-30, authorization to solicit bid, 17-18-29, authorization to solicit bids for Prop 39 lighting project at 6 of the facilities. E is Resolution 17/18-30, authorization to solicit bids for the El Roble Elementary School painting project. So we will be painting the project, painting that school, and at the next board meeting, I'll be bringing a ratification for replacement of the dry rot boards that are there. We got an extremely low bid from Kent Construction on that one. I'll be bringing that at the next board meeting. He had to buy the wood, so it had to be a ratification, unfortunately. We got a really good deal, so we had to move on it.
could I suggest that we stop right there
Mhm.
with any questions or comments that any board member has, and then we can do our roll call vote on 7A through E? Comments or questions on A through E? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Move for approval?
Second.
Roll call vote, item 7A to E.
Heather Bass.
Yes.
B.C. Doyle, absent. Mark Good.
Yes.
Pat Midgard.
Yes.
James Pace.
Yes.
Linda Pacino.
Yes.
Jaime Rosso.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now, F.
Thank you. Item F, ratification of contract with School Site Solutions for the California Environmental Quality Act. It's not safety, I'm sorry, that would be CISA. It's the Quality Act, and and also for the California Department of Education compliance for the South Valley Middle School Replacement Project. That'll entail the same typical methodology that we used for the new elementary school property. You know, we have to do our due diligence and get the complete checklist for CDE, which includes CEQA and a lot of other studies that are going to have to be performed. But in this case, they're doing the CEQA and they're helping us with the CDE compliance. G is ratification contract with School Site Solutions for the California Environmental Quality Act for Brownell Middle School alteration project. Again, there is going to be a CEQA element to the Brownell project as well. We're trying to get those started as quickly as possible because we are going to move on one or two or both of the two middle schools. So we want to get started on the preliminary stuff that's going to cause us delays in the project as quickly as possible. That's why they're coming back to you as a ratification. They're extremely important to get started. And then H is approval of contract with California Blind Company for roller shades for the Gilroy High School new 2-story math building. We got a bid from AMS on that, and they were about $20,000 for the Mecco shades. We got a bid from California Blind Company for Mecco shades, and they were about $20,000. So we asked them to look at the blinds that they installed at Glenview, which are holding up extremely well. Everybody's very happy with them. We've had no failures, and those came in at, I think, around $12,000, so it was almost 50%. So we were really happy with that price, so we'd like to move forward with that contract as well.
Questions or comments, board members?
Move approval on 7F through H.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, and just so you know, that phone call was not for me.
It was for me.
Okay, item 8, board member reports. Anybody? Yes. Trustee Pace.
I say a similar thing every year, but last night I went to the district band concert, and that is an opportunity to see 5th graders who've been playing instruments for 6 months, 6th graders who have a year under their belt, 7th and 8th graders, and the high school. And throughout the evening, it proves that education works. Seeing from those 5th graders doing their best and, you know, getting through it, and, you know, you can tell what song it is, to the high school just blowing everyone away with wonderful music. It's really inspirational. It's a great event, so that was fun.
Anybody else? Okay. Upcoming and new referral agenda items. Do we have any? Heather?
I'm sorry, I had one, but I think you had asked for clarification, and I wanted
Yes.
to, and I'm
You know
sorry
what,
I
I
never got
didn't
back
write
to
it
you.
down
Yeah,
last
that's
time.
fine, and I'd never gotten back to you, so I apologize. So I just wanted an update on the, and I'm, of course, I'm gonna blank now, on the pilot of the stipend or the admin pay program for the IEP project.
The
Just to-
LEA,
yeah.
what are we calling them?
I don't know.
Oh, Gina did write it down.
Thank
Good.
you, Gina.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
LEA Administrative Designee Pilot.
That's the one.
And I couldn't remember what your question was, sorry. So you want an update? All right.
Okay, and that's an offline report, so that'll be in the Sunday report?
It won't be in this Sunday's report, but.
I was gonna
No.
say, really?
I mean, a Sunday report,
And then I can get
As
you my direct questions to you directly. then. Sure. That'll be-
as opposed to a board meeting, is that okay?
I believe so, and we'll just have to see how that goes.
Okay. Anything else? Trustee Rosso?
I have requested a resolution be put on the agenda on school safety. It was proposed by the CSBA, and I have asked that it be put on the agenda, on our next available agenda, so.
Okay, anybody else, anything else? All right, not hearing anything, I do believe, oh, sorry. Our next meeting will be Thursday, March 22nd, right here at, closed session will start at 5 PM, not 5:30.
Right.
So,
Okay.
March 22nd, 5 PM. And we will, now we're going to have
We
a
have
study
a
session.
Facilities study session at 5:30, and we'll specifically be talking about the two projects that James just mentioned this evening, and one other, Gilroy High Pool, big topic.
Okay. And then regular meeting starting at 7. So, okay, we are adjourned.